We want to make sure we have like a little stack of antidotes too, because as we head to the west towards the dungeon, we could run into more cobras, and the last thing we want to do is run into a cobra out in the middle of nowhere and be really far away from town and not have a way to get rid of poison. That's just a way to waste a lot of potions. We also want to get a good stack of potions before we head out. In fact, I'm probably going to get a stack of 99 potions. Potions are super cheap, and from this point forward, like Marsh Cave forward, we're going to want a stack of 99 everywhere we go, because that is what we'll use to heal between fights instead of wasting our MP on it. It's much more important in the original versions of Final Fantasy. In these updated versions, like the Game Boy Advance and the PSP, we have MP, so you spend a certain amount of MP to cast a spell, right? But in the original versions, you actually had a Vancian magic system. You had spells per day, like D&D. So you would only be able to cast so many first level spells per day and so many second level spells per day or whatever. So you would run out of cures a lot faster in the original. So carrying around a stack of potions was pretty much required for any kind of long journey away from town. And finding ways to rest to get your spells back. But they got rid of that with the remakes, so we don't have to worry about that as much. Ooh, Thuderex put 2,000 towards the Final Fantasy 1 challenge too. Alright, Thuderex. Between you and Deadshire, you guys might be able to just push it through, although other people might help too. What's it? 16% of the way there for Final Fantasy Challenge. So, for those that are watching, yeah, if the Final Fantasy 1 challenge goes through, we will play this game a second time, but with a harder party. A party less suited to destroy the minions of chaos. Possibly a solo run. What we're gonna do is, if that community goal is met, I'm gonna make up a poll and we're gonna allow people to vote. Allow people to vote for what that party should be. I'll probably just post the poll in the Discord if it wins, like on the event of it winning. And we can talk about what the options should be on the poll. We'll just get all the people who spent bananas on it together, and we'll decide what kind of party we're going to be putting forth. Whether it's a solo party or some kind of weird mage-only party or something, you know, we'll figure it out. And I should say that, like, I don't know if it's possible to beat the later bonus dungeons with some of those special parties. I think it probably is, but I'm not entirely sure, especially the newest one that was in the Anniversary Edition, because I haven't done it before, so I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know that at certain points in the new dungeon, it takes away some of your abilities. Like, it could possibly take away your ability to use the attack action. And if you had like a solo monk at that point, I guess you just have to try and beat him using items. But I think it can also take away your ability to use items. So like, if your party isn't diverse enough, you might not be able to beat that dungeon. I'm not sure how that works. But we can certainly beat Chaos with any party you throw my way. They just, you know, you have to come up with the right strategy, depending on what the party makeup is. I think it'll be fun. I think that's half the fun, right? Right there, just figuring out what we gotta do. Alright. This is one of the longest little grind sessions I do on these playthroughs, I feel like, is right here at getting ready for the Marsh Cave. Because you get like 2 spell levels and 2 sets of equipment that you can buy at this point before you set out to try and defeat Astos and everything. And once you head to the Marsh Cave, you get the crown, you take the crown to Astos. He's like, oh my god, I'm a bad guy, and you beat him. You get Matoya's Eye, you go to Matoya, you get the potion to wake up the Elf King, he gives you the Mystic Key, you can go back to a bunch of places with the Mystic Key. You can break open the canal so that you can finally escape this little inner part of the map that we've been stuck in the whole game. And then the world really opens up to us. At that point, we can look into what we got to do to like get an airship and get our class upgrade. Start working on our crystals. Because that's like the main goal of the main quest. Once you can get out into the world, is we need to go to each of the 4 crystals, defeat the fiend that is terrorizing it, and like reignite it, basically. So that is what we're gonna do. Generally, you do that in the order Earth, Fire, Water, Air, I think, is like the main route through the game. You're not technically required to do it in that order, though. So we'll see what we do, you know? I'm probably gonna see if I can get the class change as quickly as possible, because that will help us stat-wise. Alright. 24 defense. What's this got? 4 defense. I'm not spending 800 gil for 4 defense. Like, the monk will be fine. I'm not even sure if that actually helps him. It says it does, but it might be lying. I think it probably says it does because he has 0 defense in that slot right now. You know what I mean? Alright, go buy him the iron armor. And we can go ahead and sell some of this old stuff. It's just gonna take up space. We do not need it anymore. It's not gonna be useful ever again. And honestly, we want to make room for all of the many items that we're going to be carrying around that allow us to cast spells later. It gets annoying trying to like scroll through your inventory to get to the item that you want to cast a spell with. And you can reorder it, but still. Should even pick up Fira as well, because that'll help speed things up a little bit. Alright, so we got an AoE black magic spell. I want to head back. Oh my god. I do that sometimes. I want to head back to Pravica real quick and see if there's any more upgrades that we need to worry about there. Let's just go forward. We'll be fine. Let's head for the dungeon. This is actually a good candidate fight for the Fira spell. Oh no, we need to get potions. That's what we gotta do before we leave. I think from this point forward in the game, we're not going to stay at the inn unless we need to get MP back, because it is just too expensive. This one costs 100, they just get more expensive from there. And you can buy potions for 40 each. So, yeah. It's like 2.5 people healed, basically, to full right now. For the cost it would take to do the inn. It depends on, like, I guess the party's damage makeup at the moment, but still. Alright, let's start heading for the dungeon. Let's see what we can do. We're gonna get a lot of levels and a lot of experience. A lot of experience and a lot of money doing this dungeon in one way or the other. You gotta be careful though, because when you die in this game, you gotta load a save. It's not nice to you like Dragon Warrior. When you die in Dragon Warrior, you respawn in town with half your money missing, which is annoying and sad because you really need that money, but it's not like, oh my god, I just lost an hour of leveling, you know? Always make sure to save every now and then. When we get to Final Fantasy II, the leveling system is very unique. I say very unique, but it's kind of like a precursor to things like the way that you level in Skyrim, you know? You level in Final Fantasy II by doing the thing that you want to get better at. I mean, that's the concept. It's a little janky in execution. So like, for instance, if you use a weapon, you get better at that type of weapon. your skill in that type of weapon determines like how much damage you do with that type of weapon, how accurate you are with that type of weapon, how many attacks you get with that type of weapon, kind of like how many attacks you get in this one as you level up. Which that all makes sense. Attacking and doing damage can help raise your strength, I guess, basically. Using spells levels the spell in Final Fantasy 2. So when you first get a spell, you write it into your spell book, and every character can cast spells in 2. In 2, everyone can do everything, basically. You put a spell into your spell book, and then it comes in at level 1. And a level 1 spell costs 1 MP to cast. Even if, like, it's like level 1 cure, it costs 1 MP to cast cure, right? And it's weak, but then as you use it, it levels up. When it becomes level 2, it's stronger, but now it costs 2 MP to cast. When it becomes level 3, it's stronger, but now it costs 3 MP to cast, and so on and so forth up to like 16, I think. And so your spells are getting more and more expensive, but more and more strong, right? And casting the spells also helps raise your intelligence, which is the governing stat for your black magic. And I think casting heal spell, like white magic spells, helps increase your spirit, and black magic helps increase your int or something like that. There's also HP and MP. So like your HP in Final Fantasy 2 goes up by losing HP. So literally by taking damage and having your HP go down, you sort of gain experience for your HP so that you'll gain more HP. So in a certain sense, you want to take damage so that you can have more hit points to be able to take more damage. And the same goes for your spells. You gain a bigger MP pool by spending your MP. So those spells that are costing more and more are actually helping you drain your MP faster and faster, which is helping you gain MP faster and faster. I think the biggest problem with the system is that it wasn't really balanced well to where you would gain at a rate that would help you. Like you would basically like, okay, I'm out of MP. Well, guess I helped myself have MP more later, but for now I'm out of MP. You know, like, or I took a bunch of damage. If I live through this, then I'll help me get more HP later, but I kind of wish I had it now, you know, like. So it led to the situation where in the original Final Fantasy, what a lot of people would do in the original Final Fantasy 2 is just beat on their own characters. You'd literally get into a fight, you'd kill all but one of the enemies, and you'd be in like a fight with like a really weak enemy that can't do anything, right? And then you'd just spend the rest of your time just attacking your own characters to level up your attacks and to level up their defense and to level up their HP, right? So you literally like farm yourself for experience, which was a very awkward system. In the newer versions, though, they've tweaked it a bit to where you don't really have to do that anymore. So I like it nowadays, but I can definitely see, like, if you play like the original Final Fantasy 2, it can get really tedious. I think there's also issues where, like, if you work on your magic a lot, like, you get weaker with your melee, and if you work on your melee a lot, you get weaker with your magic, so you kind of have to work at both if you want to do both, or you can just try and focus on one. Or... It was an interesting system, that's all I'll say. Alright. Here's the dungeon we were talking about, the Marsh Cave. So the Marsh Cave has the crown in it, and we need the crown to get Astos to be like, I'm Astos, King of the Dark Elves, and I poisoned the Elven Prince, and ha 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 ha, evil plan, blah blah blah, and I can tell you my evil plan because there's nothing you can do about it. And then, oh my god, what do you mean you're doing something about it? Alright, so these guys are weak to magic, I believe, so let's just give them the old fire in the butt. Yeah, they're super defensive physically. They don't have very many hit points, though. So you can take them out physically still, too, but throw a little bit of magic their way, and they're all dead. This dungeon is going to be our first real experience with encounter tiles, too. So there's a mechanic in Final Fantasy 1 where certain tiles are like a guaranteed encounter. broadsword is an upgrade. Which means if you step on that tile, you get an encounter every time you step on that tile, and you'll get the same encounter every time you step on that tile. They use it to gate certain areas, or like they'll put it like right in front of a chest that can only be approached from one side, so that you have to fight that monster to get at that chest, that kind of thing. And this is gonna be the first real instance of it I can think of, which is the chest to get the crown has an encounter tile right in front of it to make you fight these like illithids basically. Hey, Phoenix down. Do we need to heal any? Not technically, but I'm not liking how low these guys are, but then they don't have that much HP to give them either. There's a lot of like money and stuff in this dungeon. And the broadsword, which I already picked up. There's also mystic key doors, so we're gonna probably come back. I think this one, I think this is the crown. So you see where you can only approach the chest from this one direction because of all those statues? That tile right there is gonna put me into a fight with a bunch of these like mind flayer guys. They call them pisco demons, like fish demons, but those are like squid-faced. Yeah, they're mind flayers. You're not allowed to use the word mind flayer if you're not Wizards of the Coast. They have it like copyrighted. But we know what those are. Come on. Go ahead and give them a little bit of fire. They'll go down really quick. They're actually pretty weak. They have some nasty attacks though. They can do some damage. And it's a little bit random how many of them you fight. I only got 2 that time, but you could end up fighting like a whole group of them. Whew. They do some damage. If you fight a big group, it can be a dangerous fight. 600 go for though. And there we go, the crown. That's our big quest item that we came down here for. Alright, now I am going to heal up. You know what, these only heal 50, huh? We can actually do this one too then, because it won't max out. Alright. We can explore a little bit more. I think there's some chests with some money in them and stuff. We got the important stuff though. Really, getting the broadsword and getting the crown are probably the big ones. There's actually 2 different chests in this dungeon. Oh, the Greys is you can just hit them. That's right. There's 2 different chests in this dungeon with the broadsword in it, and it's another interesting mechanic to have in this game. Those 2 chests are actually linked. So if you go down the other set of stairs from the beginning, you can get to a chest with the broadsword in it. But if you open that chest, it also opens the other chest with the broadsword in it. So even though there are 2 chests with the broadsword, they're like the same chest with the broadsword in 2 different locations. Which doesn't happen that often in this game, but this is a good example of it. Alright, these guys, like the blood bones and stuff, like, I'm a little careful around them. Like, Dio would have been nice here. And you'll notice that, like I said, like a lot of undead can do paralysis on hit, which can be devastating in a solo run. Like if I was doing a solo run right now and they had gotten that paralysis off, I'd be just sitting here taking hits until either I died or I got lucky and the paralysis came back off. And there's nothing you can do about it. So big groups of undead are like a run killer for a solo run. Oftentimes. Yeah, a lot of the doors in the bottom level here are mystic keys. So we're gonna get the mystic key upon completing this little quest run right now. Like I said, we'll take the crown to Astos, we'll kill him, get the eye from Materia, get the tonic to wake up the prince, and the prince is going to give us the mystic key, which will let us open a bunch of treasure chests, including the ones here, some doors in the dungeon where we fought Garland, some doors in the initial castle in Cornelia, which is also going to get us access to the TNT that we're going to need to blow open the canal. But, which is the reason you need it to advance the story. But it means that we might want to come back here later and see what kind of goodies we can get from those chests, because I don't remember which is in what chest. And running around in here doesn't hurt, it just gives us more XP, right? As long as you have enough potions to keep yourself topped off, grinding is generally pretty safe in these games. Right, I forgot the green slimes can also poison you, which... Yay, this is why you bring a stack of antidotes before you come to this place, because there's guys outside that can poison you. There's also guys inside that can poison you. There's just a lot of poison to go around. They do sell Poisona in the elf town, but like it's expensive. It's like 2,500 gil to learn it, and you might not even be high enough level to learn it when you are there. So antidotes are kind of your thing for right now. And like 2,500 is a lot for what you're getting there, because like Poisona is just the spell form of antidote, right? And an antidote costs 50 gil. So 2,500 divided by 50 is what? 50? So you're essentially, for the price of 50 antidotes, you're buying the spell that lets you do antidote all the time. But are you going to get poisoned 50 times in the game? I'm not even sure if that will happen. You might not pay for itself. And it's taking up one of your spell slots. Like, you get poisoned a lot right now when the spell's available. But you don't get poisoned that much from monsters after you leave here, except for one or two places. And we're going to start getting ribbons, which will make us immune to poison. So, I don't know. I mean, if you're thinking about it, it's probably not the spell you necessarily want to pick. Although there aren't that many good options at that level anyways, so maybe it's fine just to do it regardless of whether it's super useful. If you have the money, why not? Eventually you're going to have, like I said, like infinite money, basically. Not right yet, but eventually. When I do a solo run and do all the bonus dungeons, I typically like cap out my my money. Like, by the time I get through all the bonus dungeons, my money will likely just be maxed out because there's nothing left to spend it on after you get all your equipment and spells from the last town. There's a vendor in the desert with the ferry that'll sell like buff potions, which can be really useful, and they're kind of expensive. That's about the last thing to spend money on in the game, really, once you've already got all the spells you want. So you just start accumulating money from that point on. Alright, so Astos can be a little bit of a pain. He's not that much of a pain with a full party. With a solo run, he is a nightmare because Astos has an instant death attack, which just has a chance to just straight up drop you. So if you're doing a solo run, he has a % chance to cast that spell, and then it has a % chance to just make you die, and then you have to try again. In a 4-player party, it's not as big of a deal because if someone dies, you throw a Phoenix down on them and you keep going, right? And you kill him even faster because you have 4 people attacking him. So he's not going to be that big of a deal with this group, I don't believe. But in a solo run, he can be annoying. Like, just save before you go in there, basically, right? Alright. I'm still going to save before I go in, just in case something crazy happens. We only have 1 Phoenix down after all. And here we go, the Western Keep. There's pretty much nothing in the Western Keep other than Astos, I don't think, so you pretty much just want to go walk over to him and say hi. Hey, what's up, dude? And he's like, ha 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 ha. Ha ha, you fell right into my trap. I am Astos, the king of the Dark Elves. What? But we thought you were a good king. No, I'm... This is what Dark Elves look like now. The horns and everything. It is with the combined power of the crown you now hold and the power of the crystal eye I already possess. Oh my god, you stole my Toya's eye too? I'll become the true Elf King. Alright, so, nice. We're gonna fight him, and then once we defeat him, god, he's ugly, right? We can take the crystal eye that he just told us about, and take that back to Matoya. The witch will be so happy that she'll help us wake up the Elven Prince. Astos is cursed. Alright, so we're gonna use some oh, I was. What about... Oh, I used up all my MP, didn't I? Well, if I had MP, I was gonna show you off Temper, because Temper is awesome, but I guess we don't have MP, so let's just attack. He should go down fairly quickly. His only real big scary attack is his instant death spell. He does okay damage, but damage only gets you so far, man. A lot of enemies in Final Fantasy 1 don't have that many hit points. And actually, most of them got their hit points buffed in this version. Like, if you compare like the hit points of the bosses in the newer ones versus the hit points of the bosses in the original, even like Chaos had like a pitiful amount of HP. Like, he could be like practically one shot by a real well buffed fighter in the original. And that's Astos for you. He didn't even cast his instant death spell. He's got one though. 2,000 gil, bunch of levels, and a mithril sword. Nice. I don't know if he always drops that or if that was just lucky. Well, we can pass the broadsword down to our red mage. Oh, it finally... Oh, it doesn't. I was gonna say it finally realized how to put the clothes on, but it didn't actually. I just deleted the clothes. Alright, so defensive 6. Oh, sorry, attack of 20. I get 25. He's still better with the nunchucks for now. Interesting. Alright. Is he though? I feel like something's off on it. I guess maybe he is. Alright. So now that we got the crown, we need to go back to our boat so that we can take the eye back to Matoya. A bit of a walk ahead of us. To wolf, ogre, and snake-infested forests. This party is actually working out really well. It's nice to have every party member be able to do a good chunk of melee damage. Like, usually when I bring the mages along, like, it'll be like the first 2 guys will do a good chunk of melee damage, and then the mages will be like, and I'm here too! You know, like, at least until you get some spells you can reliably cast all the time. And once you get some items you can cast without using MP, the mages become a little better with trash fights. So I know some of you guys play Final Fantasy 14. Did any of you guys play World of Warcraft? Any WoW fans out there? Ready for the release of Shadowlands? How much is Fear? It's 15. That's why I spent my magic so fast. Ooh, paralyzing my spider. That's no good. We're fine. You can see why a solo run would be slowed down by these guys, though. Look how much paralysis they pump out. They can keep one person stunned practically indefinitely. They don't do that much damage, though, so, like, they'll literally just be, like, whittling fighter down. Literally 1 HP at a time.